Wow. Yeah, I heard that on your show.
Yeah, like anything, some things work right away, some things don't. Some work for some people, some not others. I mean, it's not 100%. I'm certainly not guaranteeing it, but I do get a lot of interesting email about them.
Fabulous. Do you think that the listener's belief plays a part in that?
It doesn't seem to.
No?
No, because, you know, you can have it thrown at you and you're like, boy, that's really nuts. Or that woman is really weird. You know, I don't think it does. I've had people email me and say, I didn't believe it. I just thought it was silly. I thought, what's wrong with this woman? I've had quite a few people who listen to my show say, you know, when I first stumbled onto your show, I thought you were really weird. She says, but now I still think you're weird, but I really, really like you. I think you know what you're doing. But, you know, when you act like that, throwing mojos around and looking into people's heads, it can make you wonder, can it?
But I really enjoy your show, and it's always you're always laughing and having a good time, and I love how you're so blunt and to the point when you're doing your readings, and you're really honest, and I think that's really refreshing. Pardon?
Go ahead.
I just want to thank you for doing your show and making that available to so many people. It's a wonderful thing that you do, and it's entertaining and uplifting, and we definitely need more of that in the world.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. So your website, godisalwayshappy.com, when do you think that you'll have these mojos up on your website?
I don't know. I'll talk to Summer about it because she knows how to put things up. I know how to do the mojos. If she can help me get them up, they'll be up. So just keep checking back with the website. Did you want me to mention anything about how I got the God is Always Happy? What that's all about?
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the beings.
Okay.
So if you want to talk more about that, I want to interrupt for 1 second, though. This is CITR 101.9 FM in Vancouver. You're listening to Synchronicity, talk radio for your mind, body, and soul. I'm your host, Marie, and we're talking with Venus Andrecht, host of Hay House Radio's Dear Venus, on every other Wednesday morning at hayhouseradio.com. And you can also check out her website at godisalwayshappy.com. She gives away free readings through her blog, and hopefully we'll have mojos up very soon. And coming up in about 15 minutes is Scotty's Scenic Drive on CITR 101.9 FM in Vancouver. And so, Venus, can you explain a little bit about the beings and God is Always Happy?
Sure. If you think I'm odd now, you're going to think even more so after I tell you this one.
Fantastic.
There's a lot more about this on my website, godisalwayshappy.com, but I'm going to shorten it up in brief. I had something real traumatic happening. Something happened to me, must be 2-3 years ago now. I can't really remember. And it caused, I can only think it caused the Kundalini to come up. Or something, I've been told it blew my chakras clear. I don't know what it was. You can read about it. But after that happened, I was in ecstasy for at least several months. And let me tell you, you can't function in ecstasy. You can't pay your bills or talk with people. So I had to lower the level and bring it down. But it's much easier to go down than it is to go up. But that's a whole other story. But what happened is about 5 months after this experience, 5 or 6 months, in fact, it was May 26th, 2006, I remember the day. I was cooking dinner. I had a glass of red wine in one hand and a dirty pot in the other, and I went to the sink to wash the pot, and I heard a voice in my head, which is not unusual, but I heard a voice in my head, and it said, just out of nowhere, God is always happy. And I said, well, is he now? And then I thought, maybe I should write this down because it was so odd and off the wall. So I'm writing it down, God is always happy, and I heard, God is always happy. God is always glad. God is always happy because it is always experiencing itself. And I thought, that's interesting. And then what started happening was what I call the high beings started talking to me. And they were talking to me a lot in my head, and I was dumbfluxed by it. I mean, what's going on? I mean, it wasn't me. telling me things, all kinds of things, all the time, most of the time. During the day, I had to start carrying a pencil and a notebook in my car with me wherever I was. Occasionally, they'd wake me up at night with things, in the morning, early mornings, of course. And this brought back a memory that Summer had been up to my house visiting me. We were sitting at a table, and she looked over at me. This is before all this started. And she said, long before even the experience I had where I went into ecstasy, and she said, Mom, there's this huge being with you, a very magnificent, powerful being, the highest possible, sitting right next to you. And we were both puzzled about it, and I couldn't see it or feel it. I'm not always on the beam, but she could. And I felt that later that was the forerunner of this. And so what happened? Over a period of about 11 months, I got all kinds of information. And the first part, I put on CDs. There's 2 CDs. It's not the whole thing. I don't even have the whole thing typed up yet because it's quite a job. But Summer and I taped it. She got the good role. She got to play the part of the beings. I got to play myself, a regular human being. But they're fascinating, and you can listen to part of it again on my website, GodIsAlwaysHappy.com. And if you were interested, you can order them from GodIsAlwaysHappy.com. You can order them from Amazon.com. But what I noticed as it got deeper into what they were telling me is there was a framework. The framework is, I think it's like 11 sentences, 10 or 11 sentences, and it explains everything. It explains everything to me. It explains life. And what I'd been saying, between the time I had this ecstasy experience and coming down out of it, I also hit a very deep depression, and I was very sick. I couldn't seem to get well. And I remember thinking, what if this kills me? I mean, I'm kind of dramatic that way. And I thought, what do I believe in? I mean, I've studied all kinds of religions and ways of thinking, and everything had flies in the ointment. There were always things I ran into that I absolutely could not believe in. And so I just put doubt on all the rest of it. So I thought, well, after I recover, if I do, I have to study all these things again and choose something. I got to cobble together some religion, something I can believe in, because it's really tough. We're all going to die, and I don't want to die like this where I don't really know or feel, something I can lean on. But I thought it must be simple. It's all got to be very simple. People have made everything too hard. So let me tell you, this belief system, what the beings told me, is very simple, and I'm going to read you the framework.
Excellent.
The basic framework, and everything off of it is what they explained with all kinds of information. But it's this: God is always happy. God is always glad. God is always happy because it is always experiencing itself. We are all God. Everything is God. God is not bad. God is not good. God simply is. God is always the question, and God is always the answer. And while they were giving me all this information, I totally understood most of it. It was just so easy. Now when I go back and read everything I wrote, man, I go, where did that come from? And I have to sit and figure some stuff out. It's not the same as it was. But it set my mind at ease because I had questions, like I said, that could not be answered. This answers every question I can think of. And there were times when I argued with them about some of the information they gave me, and they would say to me things like, well, what do you think? What's your answer to this particular thing? I couldn't come up with anything better than what they had. It was a very interesting time. And I've been looking through some of the things they told me lately, because this is a hard time right now for all of us. Look what's happening in the economy. Mm-hmm. And all the corporations and our money. I'm one of those who's probably going to have to work well into her 80s because, I don't know what I've got left. And then my brother, of course, when he went to the hospital, he was dying. We don't know what's going to happen. I have a lot of stuff hitting me. And so I sit down and I go through this. And it makes me feel at peace, like we're all God. Everything is God. God knows what it's doing. God loves every experience, no matter whether we call it good or bad. God loves being alive.